Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the MultiDimensional MD. Thank you so much for joining me. My mission is to help bring the intuitive spirit back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that we can access more peace, love, and joy in our everyday lives and access deeper healing. So today, I thought that I would go over the anatomy of a miracle because we see miracles every day. And you can too. And I see them every day in my practice, in my office. I see them in my life outside the office because really every moment is a miracle if you can see it as such. And in this episode, I'm going to share a handful of patient stories with you, miraculous stories or seemingly miraculous stories. Miracle is something we don't understand completely. We don't understand yet. And then we're going to break down some common components that I see in these stories. And we're going to do something interesting, something kind of fun with these various components so that you can infuse them into your being a bit more. Because we're going to do a brief EFT tapping on a mantra for each of these components because I really like to make everything practical. And in this way, you can make the various parts of the anatomy of a miracle more practical and more tangible for you. So let's get started. So first is I just want to share a few patient stories with you because there are so many that I could pick from everyday experiences, but I'll share some bigger ones with you that seem bigger, but at the end of the day, really a small miracle versus a larger miracle, it's kind of all the same. It's really more our mind and the way we look at it. So some years ago, I had this woman come to me with cancer. She had metastatic cancer. And she was on her way to hospice. She was on oxygen. She was cachectic, meaning she was really thin, and because of the cancer was eating up all her nourishment. And so she was all skin and bones. And her husband carried her into the office. And I told them I'm not a cancer specialist because I didn't want them to have like any expectations. I didn't want to mislead them into thinking that I had the cure for everything. And they said, that's okay. We are here for comfort. So I checked her out and treated her the regular way that I do with the cranial osteopathic treatment. And then the next time I saw her, she she looked completely different. You couldn't recognize her because this time she walked in the office. She had so much color to her face. She had gained weight and she was off her oxygen. We didn't have to prop her up with pillows anymore. And she had been taken off of the hospice list. She was just about to enter hospice and they had taken her off hospice, which is absolutely incredible. And and we had a discussion and I talked to her and I said, there's something really interesting because your essence doesn't feel like what you're showing to the world. And the essence of you is something that someone that has opinions and wants to share them. It's kind of sassy, but not in a mean way, but in a fun way. And then the presentation of herself to the world, the personality that she was showing was much quieter and more passive. And so for me, there was this mismatch of like, wait, your being, your essence feels so different than what you're showing. And I said, I'm not sure if anyone knows the real you. And she said, I'm not even sure if my family knows the real me. Like my kids even know who I really am. And that was amazing. And she was somewhat afraid because she had made peace with dying, but she was afraid that of what people would think of her if she presented them with her true self of who she felt she really was. And so that was really interesting. We did have a talk, and I told her, I don't know what is going to happen, but if you're going to stay here, meaning in this human life, then it's going to have to be like you as yourself, you being who you really are. And so I only saw her those 2 times. I don't know what's happened to her. I heard through a colleague years after that, that she was still alive and still around, so that's just really miraculous. It's one of those seemingly bigger miracles, but I hope and I feel like, maybe a part of her chose to be here, chose to be her true self. Now, that's not saying that if someone crosses over, they're not choosing to be themselves, because sometimes sometimes it's time to cross over and we never exactly know when that is. I had another woman who came in the office recently, and she had had an X-ray, and the X-ray showed some sort of bone lesion, a mass, and they weren't sure where it was from. So the orthopedist sent her off to get an MRI. But between the X-ray and the MRI, she talked to her body and walked through these exercises that are in my book. My book, I Am Intuitive, a multidimensional guide to embrace your inner light. And so she talked to her body. I'm just so proud that people are able to do this, and they're doing it for themselves and choosing to do it not just within the appointment but also in between. So she talked to her body and she was like, come on, body. She was being like her body's best cheerleader. I know you can do this. And she, she wasn't sure. She wasn't ignoring basic medical advice. She was going to get the MRI done and follow up as she needed to. But she was like, hey, I know we can do this. I know that somehow you can heal on your own. You can get things flowing, you can get the energy flowing. So she did this. And then when she had the MRI done, it was completely normal. And the orthopedist was completely perplexed. And he's like, I don't understand. There's nothing there. It's normal, because the MRI would have picked up on not just the lesion, but more detail. So that's second miraculous story that I had to tell you. And the third one is with this man with complex PTSD. And this story is actually reflective of more than one story, because I'm using this one example of a person I'm thinking of, but I could be talking about many other people that I've seen as well. And so this man had anxiety all his life. He doesn't remember a time he didn't have it. And it was really interfering with his function, even though he was quite successful in a societal way of being able to make money and things like that. But he didn't feel right. It was taking a lot of his energy with the worry and having to set up things in a certain way to accommodate for all of his worry. So after some sessions with me and the cranial osteopathic treatment, getting things flowing again, he's also been working with a trauma therapist. So there are other things that are being incorporated as well. And he came to me the other day and he said, "This is the strangest thing. I don't have any worries. It's like all my triggers have been neutralized." He's like, "How is that even possible?" And and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that something like that can happen. And he said he had so much more time because he wasn't spending all his time and energy worrying, that he wasn't even really sure what to do with himself in this state. And I told him, this is how it tends to happen. And then you can start to get to know yourself on this deeper level. Remember, same as that woman with the cancer. It's like, well, yeah, it's like you were kind of pushing out or suppressing that light of your true essence. And now you have an opportunity, because there's a bit more of a clearing, instead of like spinning and spinning and spiraling. Now you have this opportunity to get to know yourself, to understand yourself, to feel yourself in a way that's more true to that divine nature that is you. And we start to have a lot of fun with this. And the things that look like challenges actually start to become more fun, if you can believe that, because we start to see that these wounds are, as Rumi says, where the light is coming through, that we start to understand ourselves and the ways that our our lives are speaking to us, that the ways that our bodies are speaking to us, the ways that our subconscious minds are speaking to us. And we start to be able to take care of ourselves in a way that we can tend to these deeper parts of ourselves that have been tucked away for safekeeping because we weren't able to tend to them before. These are coping mechanisms, but once the coping mechanisms are like once you're out of a situation, you no longer need that coping mechanism, then it's not sustainable to keep perpetuating a coping mechanism, say a frozen state or a fight or flight state. So there are ways to process, and there are ways to ease out of that, and there are ways to get to know that true light that is you. And that feels so good. That is healing on such a deeper level. And so now I'm going to walk through 5 components of a miracle. And these are things that I've seen in not just these cases, but many other situations. Okay, so the first component is one, to ground in trust in the universe. What does that mean? Well, we are here for a reason. We can trust in the process of the human experiment. This can be tough to do, and I walk myself through this most weeks, if not daily, because life can be hard, but life is also beautiful at the same time, even when it's hard. I mean, it's great when everything's happy and we can access that joy, but even in the tough moments, was talking to another friend after a good friend of ours had crossed over, and we were talking about how that sadness and that grief, it means that how much we loved her, like, so being able to feel that was us being able to access all this love that we had. And she said, yeah, we can't waste our grief. So to really fully appreciate, to fully trust in the process of whatever we're going through. So as I walk myself through these things, I might say to myself, even though I don't understand, I'm open to understanding. I trust I'm here for a reason. I trust whatever happened is happening for a reason. So we're going to do a quick EFT tapping for each one of these components. So if you start here at this karate chop point on your hand under your pinky, then we're going to say, even though I don't understand, I'm open to understanding. I trust that I'm here for a reason. And we'll just say this for each of the tapping points. So inside the eyebrows, you can tap with a couple fingers. Even though I don't understand, I am open to understanding. I trust I'm here for a reason. I trust everything's happening for a reason. Outside the eyes, I'm open to understanding. I trust I'm here for a reason. Under the eyes, I'm open to understanding. I trust everything is happening for a reason, even if I don't understand. Under the nose, I'm open to understanding, and I trust that I'm here for a reason. Under the mouth, right at that crease, I'm open to understanding, and I trust in the process. I trust everything that is happening for some reason. There's so much meaning in life. Start at the collarbones. I am open to understanding and this greater meaning in life. And I trust that there is a meaning in every moment. And I'm here for a reason. Under the arms, I am here for a reason. I trust in that process. I'm open to understanding. Top of the head, I am open to understanding this greater meaning of life, and I trust in the process. I trust I'm here for a reason. Nice big breath. Good job. So the second component is to center and love. Release any worry or fear, not by pushing it out, but by letting the wave pass. Everything is transient. So we could say to ourselves, I love myself, even though I'm worrying. I love myself, even if I'm afraid. I love myself, even if I'm frustrated or angry, if I'm insecure, if I feel imbalanced or panic. I love myself no matter what state I am. I love myself just the way I am. So let's do this. And karate chop point again. I love myself, even if I'm not comfortable, even if I'm afraid. So right here, this bladder point, inside the eyebrows, tap right there. I love myself, even if I'm afraid, even if I'm worrying. Outside the eyes, I love myself, even if I'm frustrated or angry. Under the eyes, I love myself, even if I'm worrying. Under the nose, I love myself, even if I feel unbalanced. Under the mouth, I love myself, even if I feel insecure. This point right here, I love myself, even if I am fearful or in a panic. Under the arm, I love myself, even if I'm not sure who I am. Top of the head, I love myself just the way I am. Nice big breath. Good. So, third component here, be willing to do the work. Think and feel the word miracles as a verb, like love in action. So, miracles are built by love in action. You're an active participant in your life, co creating with the universe. You need to be present and engaged with yourself. Every moment, you can choose to do this. I am showing up for me. I'm showing up for myself. I'm showing up for the world. When you show up for yourself, you're showing up for the world as well, because everyone has their unique essence, their unique expression of the stillness. And so you showing up for yourself is you sharing your love with the world. And love in action requires that you show up, that requires you to be present. So we're going to do EFT tapping on this, on the karate chop point. I am willing to be love in action. So even if I'm not sure, I'm willing to be love in action. I'm willing to show up for myself. Inside the eyebrows, tap right there. I'm willing to be love in action. Outside the eyes, I'm willing to show up for myself. Under the eyes, I am willing to be present in the world. Under the nose, I am willing to claim all of me. Under the mouth, I choose to be love in the world. On the start of the collarbones, I choose to be love in action. Under the arms, I choose to show up for myself. Top of the head, I choose to be love and show up for myself in the world. Nice big breath. Good job. Okay, so this fourth component is to ask the universe for help and guidance. How do you know if something is guidance? Grounded feeling of love and expansion. So you feel grounded. You can feel the bottoms of your feet. You can feel all of you. So you can feel the lower half of your body the same as the upper half of you. Because when we get ungrounded, we tend to be able to feel more in our heads. This is what I call like this heady feeling. And when we're more grounded and present, we can feel all of ourselves. So we can feel joy and happiness, but without the overexcitement. It doesn't mean to never get excited, but excitement can sometimes be like an ungrounded state, especially when we're doing something new, or we're just so excited about it, which is great because it gives us some momentum for it. But if we're listening to guidance, then we need to have a more neutral feeling, that neutral feeling of love and joy and peace, where we can feel all of ourselves. And you are no more or less, regardless of what happens. So if you feel that you are more worthy if you're a certain way, if you can do certain things because of certain experiences, then it's a more ungrounded state because it's more ego talk because everybody is special. Everybody wants to be special, but the thing is, everyone is already special. You don't have to try to be. You were born that way. It is your divine nature. So be who you are so you can realize how special you are. So we can do this as an EFT tapping. So the karate chop point. Even though I don't always realize how precious and special I am open to it. Inside the eyebrows, tapping. Please help me to see and feel how precious and special I am. Outside the eyes, I'm open to realizing how precious and special I am. Under the eyes, so even though I don't always know, sometimes it can be hard for me to tell, but I'm open to feeling this more and more that I am special and precious, and everyone is special and precious. Under the nose, and I ask for help so that I can see the miraculous nature of myself. Under the mouth, please help me see how precious and special I am. Start of the collarbones, please help me realize that I am a miraculous being. I am love in action, and I am so precious and special. Under the arm, we're each precious and special, and please help me see this divine nature of all of us. Top of the head, I am open to realizing how precious and special I truly am. Nice big breath. And that's just the way we are. So there's no trying in it. Number 5, fifth component of the anatomy of miracles. So the fifth one is to accept all outcomes. Expect any outcome is a miracle in itself, whether we realize it or not. So any outcome is a stepping stone to another infinite moment. Often we don't have a wide enough perspective to really truly understand that, but this is why it's a process of choosing it, of consciously working with it, of asking for guidance, so that we can start to see through the eyes of the divine, feel through and act through those eyes of divine, because it is our divine nature. And so we can ask for that. And in times of tragedy, I consciously look from multiple perspectives, because when people cross over for any reason, I consider perhaps maybe that soul or souls, maybe they felt they could do more work from beyond the veil. And that's for any reason for someone to cross over. And it's not like we don't choose it on a human level, but somehow on a soul level, um, there is this choice to cross over, and that can be really hard to wrap our minds around. And I'm not saying that anyone wants to die or take their life or take the life of another. That's not what I'm talking about at all. This is more, sometimes people seem to cross over by accident or by tragedy or through illness. And, there's always that bigger question of why did this happen? We try to reason with it, but in spirit, it's not about logic, but we try to say but they were such a good person, how could something bad happen to a good person? And it's not really about that, but it's about growing through the human experience. And sometimes the growth can happen beyond the veil, or maybe they feel it can be someone else's guardian angel, or to be helped from beyond. And I don't want to try to figure out the end all be all for any given situation for any person, but considering these grander perspectives can help us in times of darkness and times of tragedy. So let's do this one last tapping. and it's outside the eyes on this karate chop point. Please help me understand and accept all outcomes. Help me to see how every outcome is a miracle. And start at the eyebrows. Please help me see through the eyes of the divine and to see how every outcome is a miracle. Please, outside the eyes, please help me understand any outcome and how any outcome is a miracle. Under the eyes, please help me feel how any outcome can be a miracle and how this very moment in itself is a miracle. Under the nose, please help me see a wider perspective from the divine, from spirit, so I can feel, know, see, hear that understanding. Under the mouth, please help me to understand this very moment as it is, this miraculous moment. Start at the collarbones, please help me see how every moment is a miracle in itself. Under the arms, please help me accept, acknowledge, and understand each moment in my life, regardless of challenges, as a miracle. That doesn't mean that it can't change, top of the head, but it's to be able to ground yourself in this feeling, to center yourself in love, to trust in the process, and so that you can be guided from spirit as to the steps that you can take. So top of the head, please help me in all of that, to ground in trust, to center in love in action, to hear guidance clearly so that I can be guided through every moment as its miraculous nature that it is, and as the miracle that I am. Nice big breath. Because every moment is a miracle, and you are too, because you are a beautiful person, a beautiful soul, and so precious on this world and beyond. And I hope that you can see that and realize that for yourself. I hope somehow that this episode has helped you. And if you know anyone else that it could help, please share it freely. You can like and subscribe. You can get in touch with me in other ways on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, and through my website, allworldshealth.com. You can sign up for my e-love letter. I send it out about once a week, usually on Wednesdays. So lots of love to you. Would love to hear where you're listening from, and if you have any questions or comments. And again, I hope that this was helpful for you in some way. Lots of love to all of you. I'll see you next time on another episode of the Multidimensional MD.